that is live on both sides. Let's do a little check. That's fine. No stress. Cool. Well, I think we're going to pick up where we left off with the last stream. Yeah, everything seems to be connected. This looks good. Just finding my feet a little bit. Perfect. So basically, two things. The first was that when I logged off last time, I accidentally deleted some of my ocean and river fishing spots, which freed me out. And I just fixed that by sorting that out and effectively re-entering them into the skill sheet, which took like 2 minutes, so it was fine. So now if you look around, we've got our river and ocean fishing spots, which we can find over here, and we can see some ocean spots probably along the coast. Yeah, there's one. And we've added stealing to the game, and I'm quite chuffed because it does actually work. So if I come over here, I've got 2 braid stalls over here, and you'll see something funny is that we do attack the braid stall, but fixing a few of these little quirks is going to be a fun part of integration. However, you will notice that I'm stealing bread, which is a staple of Damascus gameplay. So quite happy to see that coming together. So one of the first things that we're going to deal with is this animation that's happening. The good news is it does seem like we are stealing. Obviously the rates of gathering bread are quite low for level 1, so I'm actually technically failing a lot, but you can see the XP drops every now and then. Again, super happy with the mini-map. This is just exactly what I wanted. And I think I just walked through. Yeah, okay. So I need to add the collision map to the server and make sure that that's working. Another thing to remember is that I'm probably skipping through the collision because... Hey Shark, how you doing, bud? Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with it. I need to make him not attack the braid stall, obviously, because he's spearing it like it's something to fight. But he's stealing. So, and technically all the stalls are in now, so stealing will work across the game. So that's quite exciting. So I think we'll fix that little nitpick shortly. Here, still level 1. He's chopping that bread. No, 100%. It must be how he's stealing it. He's taking the spear and he's just like skewering it, shish kebabbing. Lol. Yeah. But so what I'm looking for is A, fixing this animation problem, but B, I think I need to put... So first of all, you'll see when I step through like this, that's because I can run. So I have to actually turn off run to see if it's doing what's supposed to happen. And the reason it steps through is technically... Hey, sup Paul, how you doing, bud? Technically what's happening is if you do this, pathfind around it like this, when you move 2 tiles in one tick, you're not violating the pathfinding if you're going like this, just the object is violating it by going through. So for example, if I do it with this tree, the tree actually has the collision. Okay, so that tells me that this has the collision as well, because I should be able to ghost through this tree, yeah. So I'm not actually ghosting, I'm doing the roundabout pathing, it's just happening in 2 tiles. I'm gonna fix this, don't worry. What I'll do is, if you're running, I'll make the character interstitial around the tile that it's following, but it's the reason why if I come and try to do it to this tree, my character can't path because of this. He actually has to come down 2 tiles here, and then he'll move like 2 there, and then 2 there, I think. Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, he does the diagonal too, so it's moving like this, which is technically that route, and then comes back like that. Yeah, not lerp issues, it's just, so basically what I do is, when you're pathfinding, you can think each tile is a kind of movement along on a graph, and when you run, you move 2 tiles. So when I'm running from here, I'm popping both of these tiles off of the queue, and I'm just lerping to the second tile. So what I need to do is lerp to the first and then the second if we're running. So it's like it's a tweak on that lerp, but we can fix it later because it's a little bit boring. But yeah, I think let's walk to Dominia, and I can do a little state of play and show everyone what we got in. Just maybe make it a bit bigger. And as you can see, a lot of my skills are starting to get actual numbers to them. Hold on, let me get this all in frame. There we go. As you can see, a lot of my skills are actually getting some numbers to them because a lot of these skills are actually in the game. So, very, very exciting. Yes, so we haven't changed any of the XP rates directly, but we have changed some of the level requirements. So we've moved gem stalls down to 80, we've moved weapon stalls to 70, and we've moved sturgeon to 90. And then other than that, the XP rates are similar with the main thing, but we will be adjusting pickpocketing, where we're going to make pickpocketing a 2-tick action, so that you'll be able to pickpocket quite a bit faster, but it'll be a little bit more active. So we'll create pickpocketing as an active alternative to gathering from stalls, which, as you can see, you can come in AFK in the stall until it depletes. You're not competing with other players with stalls because it's local depletion. So I think 6 bread, and then I've got to click, and I can deplete the next stall. And this should actually come back by the time I deplete this one, because I'm pretty slow with my bread stealing. And then, as you can see here, we have the Dominia market, which is very nostalgic. It's very nice to see it again. Quite happy. Yeah, as you can see, this is back. So basically, with the double stall setup with most of these, you're going to be able to AFK the one, pull it out. Yeah, I think pickpocketing will be the highest XP rates. Because anything that you're going to have to actively click for every game cycle, compared to an AFK activity, you just got to be fair and give people the good XP rates for that. You know, got to get something in exchange for my carpal tunnel. Cool. And banking works. Deposit my bread. Very exciting. Hey, I've got 3 thieving levels. That's nice. Nice thing about thieving is the early game is pretty quick, because now you can do bread, and bread gives you 4 XP. So we've adjusted bread down slightly, so it used to be 5 XP at level 5. Thanks, Shulk. Yeah, I think making pickpocketing a bit more useful. And then we also want to add like thieving mini. We want to add basically a mini game for every skilling skill, just as a way to, you know, I find community mini games to be very fun, and so does Win, and we've always wanted to add them. So we'll definitely add a thieving mini game. I really need to stop the spear. So in fact, let's solve that animation problem right now. So if I'm not mistaken, I've got equipment slots. Okay, now I'm gonna have to remember how I did this. Okay, so let's think about this. I am controlling when the player clicks on a skill object, so check the code view and make this a bit more readable. So what we're doing is we're checking if we're hitting a skill object, which we get here. And then this is going to trigger try path to nearest open. And we have got open the bank, start gathering, currently gathering true, skill queued false. What does currently gathering do? Redraw equipment, currently gathering. Okay, cool. So this little redraw of equipment is definitely, I think, where it's all happening. So we're going to open up UI control and then find redraw equipment. Okay, so we've got gathering as false plus a skill ID. So we should be calling redraw with gathering set to false. Has tool pool skill ID. Okay, so let's check what has tool gives us. So if I'm not mistaken, okay, so this returns true only if we have a tool ID that matches skill ID. So I think all we do is if the tool ID is 0, we return true regardless. And I think that'll get rid of the spear. So the reason for this is our 0 skill ID is what we do when we have an object that doesn't need a tool, and the tool. Oh, they're coming.
Yeah, Paul's gonna bring the girls. Candy's gonna come later, and then they're gonna bath here as well.
Cool, no stress.
Yeah.
So basically, the idea is that when you have a tool to gather something like doing a mining action or doing various skilling actions, what ends up happening is that you need to know what tool it is. So like, let's say I have a pickaxe or an axe and a fishing rod in my inventory. I need to fetch which tool is related to which skill I'm interacting with. So if I'm trying to mine a rock, I need a pickaxe. If I'm trying to fish, I need a fishing rod, etc., etc. And rather than referencing them directly, we've got a kind of system that allows you to identify which tools are valid or not. And I believe the solution here is to, okay, so we still have the spear, calling redraw false. I guess the final thing, so this is has tool, item definition, return true, otherwise it returns false. Okay, so we go false and then true 0, then the next question is, when I is 5 and has tool pool is true and gathering is true. Okay, so my next question is, why is my calling redraw, why is my gathering bool false? That's the next question, and let's make sure that that is actually the problem that I'm experiencing. Let's check web slot versus looping through all, yeah. I think I can. I think the reason I'm looping through everything is this is redrawing equipment for the entire player. It's just the UI function, and then here's the weapon slot, which is slot 5. So you are correct, Shark. What I'm thinking about now is, if I click on a stealing object, it should tell me it should make gathering equals true. So let's check. I have calling redraw false 13, whereas that should say true. And we just got to figure out why I am getting that getting written in here. And also just want to check what data I've got. So yeah. So where do I call redraw? Okay, toggle sidebar menu. Yeah, so only place I'm really calling this is in my path click move, and basically we call it with true and the gather skill ID. The plot thickens. What else am I calling this? Because the only time we're calling it as false is when we click away. So that's when a move command comes through. So if I go back here, check my log. Okay, so I get calling redraw true, idata 0, calling redraw false 13. So when is this one coming? Try path nearest open. So this says path click move 457 is where the call's coming from. Which makes absolutely no sense because I'm feeding true into the call on that line. Okay. And 142. Okay. I think I also need to go and experiment with what this looks like when I'm hitting my pickaxe objects. But I think it also might just have to do with the fact, I think the way I'm replacing the texture for the tool is I'm actually swapping out the weapon texture. And I think one of the problems here is that I don't have a texture to swap it out to in the function. So maybe even if it's detecting the incorrect tool here, it's not going to correctly put the alpha texture on. So I got to expose the alpha texture. I'm just trying to find exactly where I've wired this. It's also like the tool wiring was a little bit tricky to begin with, because I think there were like several not so intuitive steps from the perspective of you can have the tool anywhere in your inventory or equipped. So it's like I can have a pickaxe equipped or in my inventory, and I didn't want to do like specific checks for specific IDs. We wanted to generalize the system. Okay, so I have a pickaxe in my inventory, I have a spear equipped. If I come and click on this rock, it's going to switch to my pickaxe perfectly. Perfect. So this is what we want. So now if I clear this, let's check what the logs are. So we get calling redraw true, I data 0, calling redraw true 10. So it's interesting that here we're getting true on 10, and in the other case we're not. And here it's saying this is coming from 384 in path click move. So here is skill queued, redraw equipment true. It's the same thing though. Just if you guys want to see the code. Basically, but all the calls to redraw equipment, other than this one which falsifies, and this only happens in a move command. So what I'm wondering is, let's just do this and go instant cancel. Switch back here. Okay. Count 22, redraw false, redraw true, I did true. Like basically, what I'm trying to figure out is why am I getting a false on this function? Because if I was getting a true on the function, I'm assuming it would get rid of my spear, but it also just still might not even, and the true or false might be a false flag. Anyway. So. Okay, calling redraw false 13. I mean, this has to be like an internal call or something, right? So I suppose the has tool pool is coming back as false, even though has tool is supposed to return true here. So let's just do this. So we're gonna go checking tool pool, and then we're also gonna throw gathering at the end so that I can know what's going on here. Okay, checking tool bool false, gathering true. Okay, fantastic. So we're narrowing it. Now, has tool has the skill ID 13. Fantastic. So now we starting to understand what's happening here. So it's not that the skill ID is 0. It's the item. It's got to be the tool ID. we're not grabbing the tool ID. So a lazy solution here is I could just go, if the skill ID is 13, set the tool bull to 0, because stealing will never require a tool. This for me doesn't feel like a good solution, and I would want to implement something that feels just a little bit more conscious of this kind of design, because we don't want to run into this kind of problem in the future. So the problem here is that when I'm calling has tool, I'm only feeding in the skill ID, and I'm not knowing the tool ID of the skill. So if you check these various skill objects, so if we come over here and we look at a gem stall, you'll notice it has an object ID, it's got a skill ID. Okay. So here the plot thickens. So the actual skill object prefab is just storing this data. It's our JSONs in our skill objects that actually store the meat of it, which is what the actual tool ID is. And it's these ones that have a tool ID of 0. But we should have some reference to skill object definitions, I think. Because I do have skill object prefabs. Yeah, but I don't have data reference. Okay. Crazy. So, I think... Okay. I do got it, but you should put those D&D dice down, and because if mommy finds you touching the D&D dice, she'll be very angry. So what I think we're going to do with has tool, because we're only grabbing item definitions, and item definitions have tool IDs, we're not actually checking the skill objects directly. So what I would have to do there is insert a check against the skill, and again, I don't think I have, in my skill object manager, I do have skill object lists, but the skill object list just stores them as skill object prefabs, and if I'm not mistaken, the skill object prefab is only storing the ID, yeah, because we haven't needed any other data until now. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to build some data structures that are going to let me gain access to the data that the server has about the skill object, which I'm going to need to do kind of parsing with. So for expedience and testing, what we're going to do here is we're going to go, if the skill ID is equal to 13, return true. Basically, return true for all skills that need no tools. Yeah, I'm going to have to change this entire tool function because and it's trying to eat the D&D dice. Okay, so we're just going to return true for all skills that need no tools, but we're going to rewrite this because basically this is written under the assumption that skills only have one tool ID, and we actually need to grab object IDs, not skill IDs, and then we need to use the object IDs to fetch what tool IDs I need. So this function is actually incomplete and needs to get rewritten. Rewrite with object ID plus tool JSON map. So such is life when making an MMORPG, when there are so many interlinked systems that are kind of dependent on each other and doing various things. So I think with that in mind, we are going to turn that on and check if that fixed our problem. Because if it did fix our problem, it does mean the rewrite will fix our problem. Yay! It fixed our problem. Okay, so as you can see, we're stealing from the stall now. Very nice, and we put our spear away when we do so. There we go, and I'm full inventory. So, why did that work now? When you have a tool, the system will draw, if you have the tool in inventory, it'll draw the picture, otherwise it'll just set it to an alpha as you saw there. And what this lets me do is effectively, that's what hides the spear and stops the kind of auto attack. And then again, well, I mean, let me just bank first. But because that one has tool function needs a rewrite, that was kind of holding us back. And the rewrite's not hard. All we're going to do is we're going to take the JSON skill objects that we have, we're going to read them in, store them as kind of larger data set, and then those skill objects have tool IDs on them. And then, for example, we would go, is the tool ID 0, which means there's no required tool, and if that's the case, so if the tool ID is 0, what we'll notice. Thanks, man. Have a good one, bro. Shot for stopping by and watching the stream. Have a good one, Shulk. But yeah, I was going to say, if the tool ID is 0, then we can just return true, because we know that the tool, that this specific skill object doesn't need a tool, and then we can have specific tool IDs for fishing, because, for example, there are fishing skill objects that require nets and some that require fishing rods, and that has to be taken into account. But yeah. So that was quite a lot. So the other thing that I was trying to test is I think I'm supposed to have added a system for throwing knives, and I'm going to test if the throwing knives, or more accurately, I've added the server-side code to handle throwing knives. I now need to make sure that the client-side representation matches. So first things first, let's check the throwing knives and get the item ID. So copper throwing knife, item ID is 663. So now we can go to our master server, find the player that we are. So what player am I running? Player 3. So player 3, we can now give him some free items. So the ID of that item was 663. We'll just put like 1,000 of them in. So that is going to give me some copper throwing knives. There we go. So the first question, now I know I don't display the amounts yet, so if you equip pebbles, it just shows that the pebbles are equipped. I need to show the number, the 141. If I equip the throwing knives, okay, fantastic, it does actually equip them. And it doesn't show the number, but if I unequip them, 63, okay. So now what we're hoping is the number decreases and that an attack goes. There won't be a projectile because I haven't put the projectile in yet, but we can put the projectile in together. Let me make a big screen. Okay, so I shot an arrow, but everything else worked correctly. Okay, that's fantastic. Very happy with that. We will replace the throwing knife projectile, but let's see. 63 still, that's not good. Still 63, so not quite working. Gonna have to look into why that's happening. But let's get the projectile fixed. So, first things first, the throwing knife doesn't have a projectile game object, so we need to set that. Now, do I get the projectile from the weapon? I don't have to get it from the ammo normally, right? Okay. So now we're gonna have to detect if a weapon, because if I'm not mistaken, if you look here, copper arrows those are copper arrow heads. See, copper arrows have the copper arrow projectile. So we're pulling the projectile from the actual ammo object. Now, if I don't have an ammo object equipped, where am I going to get the projectile? So in this case, I do actually want to put the projectile onto the copper throwing knife. So first things first, let's make the projectiles. We're going to need 8, 1 for every throwing knife. So if we grab this, I think what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do too long of a stream. Did she chip her tooth? Can I see? My daughter just chipped her tooth. Thought she can eat mummy's eyeliner, and that is made out of metal. So that ended exactly how you'd think it would. Well, not eyeliner, her eyelash thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to make the projectiles, and then we're going to swap those out. And then I also wanted to, there was another thing I wanted to do, and then I think I'll end the stream. Oh, I wanted to do my daily sprite, which I haven't done. So let's start with the projectiles. So copper arrow, I think what we're going to do is we're going to keep the sizing roughly, and I'm just going to unpack these. So let's just set them out. Okay. Just go copper throwing knife. Bronze throwing knife. Iron throwing knife. Steel throwing knife. Plywood throwing knife. E-copper throwing knife. E-gold throwing knife. And Damascus throwing knife. So let's get these quads swapped out. Ooh, I need the throwing knife individual textures. Oh. Okie dokie. Let's quickly make the throwing knife individual textures and go to A-Sprite. So I think because we're going to A-Sprite anyway, let's start this out by doing the daily sprite. So I've been thinking about this daily sprite for a while. What I want to do is I want to do another pot. Are they here? Okay, I think I'm ending stream soon because Paul has just arrived. Or maybe we just finish this. I'll see how he feels. Okay, so what I want to do for this character is I wanted to make a feisty plant man who is a rapier wielding vine. He's like a vine person, if that makes sense. So hello, Paul. Sorry, I'm just on stream. I'll end this very soon. I'm just adding my sprite of the day. Paul, would you like to see my latest character? This is Monsieur Vine. He is a vine man. Hey, Mr. Bears, thanks so much. I'm doing very well. How are you doing, brother? Awesome. So this is another plant person. I love my plant people. They're very important to me. Fantastic. I call this guy Monsieur Vine. I have no idea how to spell Monsieur. Mons Vine. So let me just quickly grab that, put this in the project. I do have guests, so I am running a little bit over time here. I should be closing this up shortly. Well, actually, let's just end it there, because I think I should get into all this. Sorry for ending the stream right after you stopped by, Mr. Bears. Shot for all the support, and thanks to everyone for watching and Shot for stopping by. I have got a horde of children behind me, and I need to help the other parents as well. So thanks so much for watching the stream, and thanks to everyone for stopping by, and have a great day. And yeah, we'll keep building this MMO one step at a time. Cheerio.